Hello, everyone. Thank you for signing on to today's Amtrak Vacations National Parks Series Part 2 featuring Glacier National Park. I'm so excited to have all you folks on the presentation today. Here I am popping up onto your screen. My name is Jared Kettinger. I am your host for the presentation this afternoon. Now, folks, I do recognize I look a little bit young, but don't hesitate to type any questions that you might have into the questions box on the side of the GoToWebinar panel. I will make sure to take time at the end of the presentation to answer any and all questions you may have for me. Additionally, folks, popping up onto your screen is a free downloadable page that you can take along with you. The downloadable page will have some highlights of the national parks, including, of course, the national park topic of the day, Glacier National Park. Coming up onto your screen now is the Amtrak Vacations Systems Map. Everywhere you folks are seeing a colorful squiggly line, that's a route that Amtrak travels on. Everywhere you're seeing a dark blue or navy blue dot, that's a destination that Amtrak Vacations travels to with hotels, sightseeing, and attractions all bundled together. And we do cross the border as well up into Canada. So we don't just travel in the United States. We can go visit our neighbors to the north. Amtrak crosses the border in Montreal, Niagara Falls, Toronto, and Vancouver. We do cross Canada via rail packages as well, and packages up into the Canadian Rockies. Now, what makes Amtrak vacations different or unique? Because that's a good question to ask. Why should you want to go on an Amtrak vacations trip? Well, number one, it's a bucket list experience. I can't tell you how many of our past travelers have said that the number one reason they went with Amtrak vacations in the first place was that it was an opportunity to check an item off of their bucket list. Freedom and flexibility. Most of the Amtrak routes travel out daily. The grand majority of them travel out at least once a day. Some of the regionals travel multiple times a day. Also, we can customize our itineraries to fit your particular travel style. So while we may have a specific package that you're looking to go on, we can, and you might have an itinerary from our brochure or our website, we can always tailor the itinerary to fit your travel needs. Hassle free. Hassle free because all you have to do to book is give us a call and chat with one of our friendly vacation consultants at 1 800 268 7252. We are the official tour operator for Amtrak. So while some other companies may be able to sell an Amtrak ticket or maybe able to do a package that might include some train travel for a vacation, we are Amtrak's official national tour operator. We do city to city service. We travel from downtown city to downtown city all throughout the USA and Canada. In fact, there are over 500 different stations to travel through. And then something for everybody or something for everyone. Because with Amtrak, you're going to get beautiful scenery right from the window of the train. You'll get to go to fun, interesting destinations such as the national parks in the major US and Canadian cities. We have fun experiences on the train. Sleeping overnight is a wonderful experience. Traveling to various destinations and seeing the unique destinations such as New Orleans, Seattle, the Grand Canyon, Glacier, a little something for everyone. Now, I mentioned before that we can customize the trip. Well, what does customize mean? Let's take a hypothetical itinerary. One of our itineraries is called Rails to the Grand Canyon. This starts off from Los Angeles, so this itinerary departs from Los Angeles and travels overnight on the Southwest Chief Route from Los Angeles down to historic Route 66, Williams, Arizona. From there, the travelers on the itinerary will take the Grand Canyon Railway train from Williams into the south rim of the canyon for a 2-night stay at the south rim with some sightseeing. And then after that, they'll travel back to Williams on the Grand Canyon Railway and then board the Amtrak train back to Los Angeles. Now, our itinerary starts with 2 nights at the south rim of the Grand Canyon. Well, you may say, I want to add a night. I want to spend 3 nights there. No problem. We can customize our trip, and even though our itinerary suggested 2 nights, we can add a third. You may then want to stay at a different hotel than what we suggested. You may want to upgrade. So we would spend uh, uh, 3 nights, so add a night to do from 2 to 3, and then upgrade you. You may also want to spend some time in Los Angeles before or after the trip goes. And so we would then have added a night to the package, upgraded you to a different hotel, and then added the Los Angeles getaway, which includes 2 nights hotel accommodations with a Stars Homes trolley tour, creating your brand new customized vacation. Now, a very common question is, how much should I be prepared to pack for when traveling on the train? Well, you're allowed 2 carry-ons of up to 50 pounds each and 2 check bags up to 50 pounds each. And that's per person, and that's completely free. Additionally, people usually ask, when should I plan to get to the station ahead of my travel? Well, we suggest getting there around 45 minutes to an hour ahead of time. It's not like the airlines where you have to get to the airport an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours if you're flying internationally. You can get to the station 45 minutes to an hour ahead of time and still feel comfortable to board the train without any problem. Now, I hope all of you folks are, as we like to say, all aboard as we jump in and start talking about our topic of the day, which of course is Glacier National Park, which is Amtrak Vacation's top destination. Now, you may be wondering why it's our top selling destination. Well, that's a fair question. Well, Glacier National Park is up in the top up in Montana, and actually you can see by the map here that it actually connects right across up into the Canadian border, up into Waterton Lakes National Park. And so it's not the easiest national park to travel to. If you fly there, you'll have to fly to an airport that's roughly 2 hours away and then drive. Or you could take the train from either Chicago or Seattle, and it's a quick overnight to get up to the eastern end of the park. From there, it's only 209 steps from the door of the Glacier Park station to the door of the Glacier Park Lodge. Only 209 steps. So easy. And if you're feeling particularly lazy that day and don't want to make that little walk up the path, there is a shuttle that will come and pick you up. And we do Glacier Park to the tops. I mean, we have all the sightseeing, the tours. Actually, the Glacier Park Lodge employees will come down to greet the train, and they actually dress up like conductors to make it a kind of a fun and lively experience. And it's a nice place to travel to. It's kind of getting out there in nature, kind of removing yourself from the hustle and bustle of busy daily life and going and relaxing and experiencing the beautiful America's backyard. And while staying in Glacier, we have the Glacier Park Lodge. That's the main lodge we use. Again, only about 209 steps from the door of the station to the door of the Glacier Park Lodge. Upon arrival, you'll get any kind of meal vouchers that we provided within our packages. Most of our Glacier Park packages do include at least one dinner at the park. The staff are great people, lovely people. In fact, they also do an evening walking tour of the grounds. And most of the tours take place right out of Glacier Park Lodge. They'll pick you up right there, including the Big Sky Circle Tour, which is done on those historic red buses that travel through the park, as well as the transfers up to the dock for the Medicine Valley boat cruise. So all of our tours that are included within our packages start at the Glacier Park Lodge, making it simple and easy for the travelers in Glacier. The first itinerary we're going to talk about today is Glacier National Park Getaway, round trip from Chicago. Now, while this package and a couple others on the presentation start off in Chicago, that's one of, again, over 500 different stations you can depart out of. So if it's about traveling from your local hometown, you want to get on a local station, we can do that. The Union Station in Chicago just happens to be the major hub of Amtrak, so most likely you will have to go through there at some point. This itinerary departs from Chicago on the Empire Builder, going overnight on the train. You can see the arrow indicating number 1. That's 1 overnight on the train going up to Glacier Park. Now, fun fact, the Empire Builder is regularly voted the number 3 most scenic rail route, the third voted most scenic rail route in the Amtrak system. So it's a great, enjoyable scenic ride to go from Chicago up into Glacier Park for a 3-night stay in Glacier with the Big Sky Circle Tour done on those red buses and the Medicine Valley boat cruise and 1 dinner included before taking the Empire Builder back overnight back to Chicago. So that, folks, is the Glacier National Park getaway round trip from Chicago, one of our most popular getaway itineraries. And a getaway itinerary is just a single destination trip for 2-3 nights, in this case, starting at 3 nights at the Park Lodge. Now, our most popular independent rail journey for the past 5 years is the Glacier National Park Express. And an independent rail journey is a multiple stop trip. As you can see, this does multiple stops for Chicago, Glacier, and Seattle. And so it's our most popular independent rail journey for the past several years. This departs from Chicago, where you'll spend 2 nights with an architecture cruise out onto the Chicago River and the lake, then going overnight on the Empire Builder up to Glacier National Park for 3 nights in Glacier with the Big Sky Circle Tour, the Medicine Valley Scenic Boat Cruise, and 1 dinner included at the lodge. And then the trip is finished by going overnight on the Empire Builder out to sea for 2 nights in Seattle with admission to the Space Needle included. Again, folks, that is the Glacier National Park Express, 2 nights in Chicago with a Chicago Harbor Cruise, an overnight on the train up to Glacier with the Big Sky Circle Tour and the Medicine Valley Boat Cruise included, and then us 2 nights out in Seattle with admission to the Space Needle and the Chihuly Garden and Glass Exhibition, which is this giant glass dome with a garden inside with these giant blown glass structures at the base of the Space Needle. This next itinerary is a big one. It's the Grand National Parks with the Grand Canyon, Yosemite, and Glacier National Park. So we fit 3 national parks all on one itinerary, and it is a fan favorite, folks. Again, this starts in Chicago. As I mentioned before, Chicago's the major hub. We could, of course, always get you coming from your most local hometown. It goes overnight on the Southwest Chief down to historic Route 66, Williams, Arizona, for 1 night in Williams and 1 night in the Grand Canyon. Now, you'll get to the Grand Canyon by way of the Grand Canyon Railway, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, on the rails to the Grand Canyon trip. And you'll spend 1 night stay at the south rim of the Grand Canyon with a sightseeing tour of 3 scenic overlook points of the South Rim. After spending 1 night in Williams and 1 night in the Grand Canyon, you'll take the Southwest Chief overnight out to Los Angeles. Once you get into Los Angeles, you'll connect in Los Angeles Union Station with the Coast Starlight. The Coast Starlight, folks, is regularly voted the number 2 most scenic rail route on the Amtrak system. That'll run from Los Angeles up to San Francisco for 2 nights in San Francisco with a full day tour to Yosemite National Park. So it's a kind of a nice thing. You'll get to stay in a downtown metropolitan city like San Francisco, where there's many hotels to choose from at different levels, 3, 4, and 5 star. But you'll also have a full day tour out to Yosemite. What will happen is that it'll pick up from Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. The tour bus will then deliver you outside the city and into Yosemite National Park, where you'll do a morning tour of Yosemite, and then you're actually dropped off in the park to do a full few hours to explore the park on your own. So if you wanted to get out in nature and do a little bit of a quick hike, you would have opportunities to do that. If you just wanted to grab some lunch amongst the beautiful nature, that's an opportunity as well. Or if you just wanted to stroll on your own along the park floor is tamped down. There's many walking paths that are plenty of signage, plenty of maps, so you won't get lost. After the few hours in the park on your own, that same tour will pick you up and deliver you back to San Francisco at the end of the day. Now, after San Francisco, you'll continue north on the Coast Starlight up to Seattle for one night in Seattle. You'll then go overnight on the Empire Builder out to Glacier for 3 nights in Glacier with the Big Sky Circle Tour, the Medicine Valley Boat Cruise, and then you'll finish the Empire Builder route, finishing the loop back to Chicago. Now, it is worth mentioning that you'll be doing round trip by way of Williams into and out of the Grand Canyon. That is based in coach accommodations on the Grand Canyon Railway. However, when you go to book, you could always check with the Amtrak Vacations consultant about upgrading you to first class or observation dome on the Grand Canyon Railway. The first class includes more plush, comfy seating and refreshments. The observation dome includes the same type of comfort, but with the windows that go all the way up to the roof of the vehicle. Now, you will get to stay for a night at the South Rim of the Grand Canyon, as I mentioned, with a motor coach Freedom Rim tour of several scenic overlook points of the canyon for picture-taking opportunity. You'll have the full day tour out to Yosemite National Park by way of San Francisco. We do include a hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour during your stay in San Francisco as well, so you can use that to go on and off the tour at your leisure, down in Fisherman's Wharf, out to Chinatown, or out to see the beautiful painted ladies. Those are the houses featured in the picture right here. You'll head up into Seattle for a stay there, and where we include an admission to the Space Needle. And then you'll head out to Glacier National Park for the Two Medicine Valley Boat Cruise and the Big Sky Circle Tour that is included. And that is the Grand National Parks with the Grand Canyon, Yosemite, and Glacier National Park, 3 national parks all on one trip. And this next itinerary features both Glacier National Park as well as the Canadian Rockies, and very appropriately named Glacier National Park and the Canadian Rockies by rail. Again, starting from Chicago, going overnight on the Empire Builder out to Glacier for 2 nights in Glacier with the Big Sky Circle Tour and the Medicine Valley Boat Cruise, before finishing the Empire Builder route out to Seattle, where we use that as a connector up into Vancouver for a 2-night stay in Vancouver, before overnight on the Canadian Via Rail system up into Jasper for 1 night in Jasper, 2 nights down in Banff, and then ending the trip in Calgary. So as I mentioned before, we include the 2 Medicine Valley Boat Cruise and the Big Sky Circle Tour. This picture shows one example of the red buses. And I think this will give you a little bit of a closer up view. Here you can see in the top left-hand corner our Vice President of Sales, Jim Marini, who went on the red buses tour himself. You can see the red bus in the lower panel of the slide. And this is where they stopped off at the Continental Divide up at Logan Pass. You can see it's quite a big high elevation up in the park. You can see the National Park Lodge, where in the picture, this picture was actually taken from the station, the Glacier Park station. So you can see how close the lodge is to the station that the train drops off in. And you can see one of the beautiful lakes that Jim got to experience along the way on the Big Sky Circle Tour. Up in Vancouver, we included a multi-day hop-on, hop-off sightseeing tour, so you can get on and off the tour at your leisure, out at the waterfront, out at down in the downtown district, out in Chinatown as well, so you can get on and off at your leisure. In admission to the Vancouver Lookout Tower, which is a tall observatory tower in the middle of the city that you can quite literally get a 360-degree view of the city along the way. In Jasper, we include the Icefields Parkway excursion, which is done on one of those big ice explorer vehicles with the giant tires that lift the vehicle high off the ground and able to easily and safely travel over the frozen ice fields parkway. In Banff, we include admission to the Glacier Skywalk and the Glacier Discovery Center, as well as a mountains, lakes, and waterfalls tour of Banff and Lake Louise. So that, folks, is the Glacier National Park and Canadian Rockies by rail. Now, we focus mostly on Glacier as well as a handful of other national parks on this trip. This presentation today. However, we don't just focus on the national parks. We can go to the major U.S. cities such as New Orleans, Washington, D.C., Vancouver, New York City. Plenty of options to choose from, and these are just a small sample of many, many options to travel to. And folks, I do see some questions have already come through. I'm welcoming all of them. If anyone else has any questions, feel free to start typing them in now. I will answer them at the end of today's presentation. Now, in the major cities, we have a menu of hotels to select from, ranging from 3, 4 to 5-star options. In the national parks, usually there's only 1 or 2 lodges to pick from, so there you have to be a little bit more flexible. But in the major U.S. and Canadian cities, we do have a selection of hotels to pick from at different star options, and it's up to you of what you prefer to stay at. I'll take a few minutes now to talk about the onboard accommodations on the train. The first level of which is the coach accommodations, which are 2 big plush seats. The seats themselves recline at a 45-degree angle with a leg rest that'll kick up, a tray table that will fold down for snacks, drinks, what have you, a nice big picture window to enjoy all the sights out of, outlets to charge the devices in, and then plenty of room above head for your luggage. The next level up is the sleeper roomette, which is its own private cabin on the train with a door that will shut and lock, blinds that will go over the windows, a nice big picture window to enjoy all the sights out of. As you can see by the diagram, everything folds down in the evening time to bunk style sleeping accommodations. Now, you're probably looking at this and saying, well, I don't see a bathroom in that diagram. You would be correct. The bathrooms are down the hall. There's 4 bathrooms to every roomette car with an attendant that is constantly going in and cleaning them out. So it's not like you're sharing with the entire rest of the train. Only those staying in the roomette car have access to those bathrooms. However, if you did want your own private bathroom and shower accommodations on the train, the next level up is the sleeper bedroom, which is a bigger cabin with a big captain's chair, a long couch, a nice big picture window to enjoy the sights out of. At night, as you can see by the diagram, everything folds down to bunk style sleeping as well. However, this does have a private bathroom and shower in the room itself. Dining on the train. Dining on the train is included within the cost of a sleeper compartment. So whenever you purchase a sleeper on the train, the meals are automatically factored into the price. Now, there's a full menu to choose from, and you can see some of the options for meals, such as the French toast for breakfast, the Amtrak signature steak, which is a very popular dinner option, and then dessert is included, including the chocolate lava cake, as you can see by the picture. And you can see the rolling restaurant, as we like to call it, which is the dining car on the left-hand side of the slide, where it has kind of couch-style seating with its own placemats and things to rest and hang out, and plenty of menus to choose with plenty of options to choose from. Now, to do a little research on us, feel free to sign on to amtrakvacations.com. You can click on the Destinations tab. A tab will drop down with East Coast packages, West Coast packages, rail-in sales, all the options to choose from. AmtrakVacations.com, you can also click on the trip planning page, which will help you take a look at some of the other diagrams of the sleeper compartments. You could order a brochure. You can see what some of the guidelines are in terms of passport of identification needs, meals and dining. How to book, check us out on our website. Give us a call at 1-800-268-7252. or feel free to work through a friendly local travel agent. Discounts. It's nice to travel, but it's always nice to save a little bit for your wallet along the way. Seniors 65 and over will receive a 10% discount on the rail portion of an Amtrak package. Children aged between 2 to 12 years old receive half off, 50% off the rail portion of an Amtrak package. And then any active military personnel, spouses, or dependents will receive a 10% discount on the rail portion of an Amtrak package. Now, folks, if you want to give a dad a gift, why not give him the gift of train travel? We do have a Father's Day sale going on uh, featuring certain destinations, including Glacier National Park, where you can save some money off when booking a trip for dad. Feel free for more details to sign on to AmtrakVacations.com and click on specials and discounts. Now, just for attending, we are automatically going to send you an email with a $100 upgrade voucher that's valid through June 26th. What does that mean? What that means is as long as you take the voucher and book a package by June 26th and upgrade to a sleeper compartment, you can automatically save $100 off the cost of the trip. And that is combinable with their other discounts, including the Father's Day sale. Now, folks, we do have the handout, as I mentioned before, highlighting the national parks. So if any of you would like to download that, feel free to do so by clicking on the side of the GoToWebinar panel. Now, I have a question for you. You folks have asked me a bunch of questions. I will be answering them now. But my question for you is, what rail vacation are you or destination are you interested in? Is it Glacier? Is it the Grand Canyon? Is it even none of the destinations I mentioned today? If you have an answer to it and you want to go on a trip, type that into the questions box on the side of the GoToWebinar panel. I'd like to see where you'd like to travel. Maybe I've convinced you to go to Glacier. I don't know. So I will leave this slide up and take a moment to answer some of your questions. Give me a moment, folks, while I just read through this. Okay, so someone was highlighting the fact that traveling by train sounded great to them, but when you get to the destination, how do you get around? Do you need a rental car? How do you get on without a rental car? Well, let me answer that for you. So, especially at Glacier, oh, and they also had mentioned about they want to potentially do a hike. So let me cover that for you. So when you get to the destination, Glacier is just one great hypothetical since that's the focus of the presentation today. Uh, Everything is kind of based around the Glacier Park Lodge. And you're out in nature, so going on a hike would be very easy because most of where the trails would start near or around the lodge, or the Medicine Valley boat cruise that we include on the package. Actually, if you go out at the 9 a.m., which most of the cruises depart at 9 a.m., includes a hike, a free ranger-led hike included with the cruise. So if you wanted to do that, you could, or you could just pick up from one of the trails closest to the Glacier Park Lodge. You wouldn't necessarily need a rental car to get around Glacier. Someone had asked regarding the two tours in San Francisco that I had mentioned, the Yosemite Park Day Tour and the Hop On, Hop Off. Do you do both of them in a day? Do you get both? So one day is the full day tour to Yosemite. The next day, you won't depart until to go up to Seattle until later in the evening. So you would actually have the Hop On, Hop Off tour included the day of departure. But as you don't depart in the evening time, that Hop On, Hop Off tour would be usable all day, right up until you got to until you went to the Amtrak station to board the train and go north. Someone asked what packages include meals. So whenever you travel overnight on board the train and you have a sleeper compartment, all the meals are included when traveling on the train. So as long as you have the sleeper, your meals are already factored in. We do also occasionally include a meal at a destination at a restaurant or a location that we find has really great reviews, that we've tested ourselves, that is just iconic to the destination, In the Glacier Park packages, we tend to include one dinner at the Glacier Park Lodge included within the price of the package. There may be some other destinations like New Orleans where there's an iconic restaurant in the French Quarter, or New York City where they have the revolving restaurant, the view at the top of the Marriott Marquis in the middle of Times Square. So some packages will include a meal as well. Most of the packages don't, but if you book a package with an overnight cabin on the train, the meals are included. Someone asked if the national park vacations, such as Glacier, Grand Canyon, etc., if they include the national park passes. They do not. So when you go to these national parks, you will have to pay the national park fee. However, if you personally have a national park pass, I know families will buy the park passes that just cover them so they don't have to get charged anything extra. If you bring those along with you, if you have one, then you will not be charged that fee when you get to the park. Someone asked about the seats on the train. The coach seats all face forward. So there are some regional trains, such as the Northeast Corridor that travels from Washington, D.C. up to Boston and vice versa, that have some coach seating that face each other, usually with the table separated. But on the long distance trains, all the seats face forward. Someone asked whether the trains have Wi-Fi. On the Northeast regional routes, again, that's the Washington, D.C. to Boston and vice versa run, those trains do have Wi-Fi. On the long distance trains, Wi-Fi is not included yet. They are working on it. But as you go through mountains, deserts, forests, the service, even just a regular service on your phone, would drop to a degree. So even if they could, it would still kind of be a little bit, in and out. Someone asked about doing a Glacier Park package with a stop somewhere in California along the way. Sure. We can always customize our itineraries to fit your particular travel needs, your particular travel styles, and where you want to go, what you want to do. So yes, if you wanted to stop along the way in somewhere in California, just let the Amtrak vacations consultant know, and they will be able to put an itinerary together with the stops. Someone asked if they can take some of the itineraries and shorten them. So say if the itinerary was an 11-day, could they customize it so it's not the full 11 days, but a little bit shorter? Absolutely. There's no problem at all for that. We could always customize, tweak, change, tailor make our itineraries to fit your travel needs and travel style. Just let the Amtrak vacations consultant you're working with know. So someone said that they had a little bit of issues with their audio on their computer at the beginning of the presentation. I'm sorry that happens. It happens to me sometimes too. As for a recording, we do record the presentations. I'm recording this as we speak now. We will automatically send out a copy of the recording to your email tomorrow. So that you should see that posted in your email sometime tomorrow morning or early afternoon, and you can watch the full presentation at your leisure. All right, I see a lot of people typed in that they were excited to go and they want to go to Glacier. Some people by way of Portland, the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone. So Nova Scotia there. I see Nova Scotia as an option. Well, we can go to all of the places above. And we get this on a lot of the presentations, and I do apologize. Someone asked about, if they've already booked a trip, but now they see the Father's Day sale or $100 sale voucher, what have you. So those are only good for future trips. There is a silver lining, though. If, say, you have already booked a trip, and yes, you missed out on that $100 voucher. Well, depending on when you booked, and I'm guessing it probably wasn't booked today or yesterday, most likely the train price would have changed between when you booked and now. So yes, you might not be able to take advantage of the $100 discount now for a package you might have booked, say, last week, last month, a few months ago. You can still feel happy that you booked then, because I guarantee you the price now would be a lot different than just that $100 di- difference. Someone asked about going up into Canada and Nova Scotia by train. You can go up into that area by way of the Canadian Via Rail train known as the Ocean. That's the name of the train, and you can absolutely head up there. We're able to do that for you. More people interested in Yellowstone, New Orleans. That's great. Someone asked if a cooler is considered one of your carry-ons. I believe it is, but you're allowed two carry-ons of up to 50 pounds each and two check bags of up to 50 pounds each, and that's per person, and that's all free. So you're allowed essentially up to 4 bags per person. So even if you were down one by way of the cooler, you still would have another carry-on free as well as two check bags. Someone asked if what happens if the Going to the Sun Road is not available or accessible during the trip. Um, Most likely, it looks like by the date, which you had put the date of end of June, I would be very surprised if the Going to the Sun Road was still unavailable or inaccessible at the end of June. They do. There's a reason that Glacier's window of travel is June through September. Usually by May, beginning of June, they have most of that road all cleared up. I would be very, very shocked if it was still had snow on it or still inaccessible at the end of June. I know earlier in the season, if you go on the trip, if there's some inaccessible roads, they take alternative routes that are still very scenic, very beautiful, and fun to travel on. But I'd be almost shocked. I would be extremely shocked if you couldn't go on the Going to the Sun Road at the end of June. So for any requests, I'm so excited to see so many people excited to go on the trips to Glacier, Yellowstone, New Orleans, Nova Scotia, other parts of Canada. We will actually we can take any calls. So I can't price anything else on the webinar other than, of course, like you saw some of the prices that we already pre-included on the slides. Feel free to give us a call and we would be able to price anything out for you. So someone asked a very good question, what packages that we have that include Grand Junction, Colorado? Well, funny that you mentioned, we just launched packages at the end of November of last year for this year that feature Grand Junction, that travel through Grand Junction on the California Zephyr route. The California Zephyr was voted the #1 most scenic rail route on the Amtrak system. It'll stop in Grand Junction, and we have tours that'll go from Grand Junction through Arches, Canyonlands, Bryce Canyon, Zion, and Capitol Reef National Park. So 5 of the big Utah national parks are accessible through Grand Junction, Colorado. Someone asked if the Superliner roomette chairs recline. They don't, but the reason for it is they're huge. They're big, big chairs. So they don't exactly recline, but they're big and plush and very comfortable. Someone asked if they go up to Glacier, can they do less than the 3 days? As most of our packages you saw started with 3 nights in Glacier. Yes, you can absolutely do a 2-night stay there. I wouldn't suggest doing anything less than a 2-night because then you're gonna really squeeze your time in Glacier and not be able to see much. But you don't have to spend the full 3 nights. A 2-night stay there is completely fine. Someone asked if there's other places to eat other than the lodge at Glacier. Yes, there is a little town within walking distance. You can go down there. There's little bars and restaurants. There's also other stands and little places to eat around Glacier Park Lodge that are not necessarily in the lodge or operated by the lodge. You can go and eat there as well. Someone asked if the packages are based on double occupancy. Yes. So the prices you saw were based on a per person starting from price based on double occupancy. So if you saw a package that was, let's say hypothetically, it was starting from $1,500, that was $1,500 doubled. That starting from would be 3,000 because that was based on a per person pricing. Um, So if you lost audio at any time on the presentation, I know someone didn't have it when they started the presentation, or if something happened to the computer system, if you're going as the presentation went on, we will have another presentation today at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or you will always get the recording of the presentation emailed to you tomorrow in its entirety. Someone asked outside of, as I like to call it, the rolling restaurant, the dining car, is there a snack bar? Yes, there is a cafe car on the train that you could go down and get snacks at any point during your trip. A purse or a laptop would not be really considered a carry-on bag. That would just be a personal item. What is the earliest you can book an August 2020 Glacier trip? Today. Today's the earliest, or yesterday. But today, since you asked, you could book a trip today for August of 2020 to go to Glacier. Are check bags accessible during the trip? Unfortunately not. It's just like the airlines where once you check a bag, you won't be able to receive it until you get to the station that you're checking it through. So I would suggest bringing the carry-ons with your overnight stuff or whatever you need while you're actually traveling. And then when you get to the station that you've checked it through, then you'll be given your bag back. Someone asked if there is a lot of hiking required on a Yellowstone trip. Nope, I went to Yellowstone myself and I did zero hiking, but I did see plenty of the park through our sightseeing tour. As for the cost of a shuttle in Glacier, I think the shuttle you're referring to is the shuttle to go up to the Two Medicine Valley boat cruise. That pricing is incorporated within the package price. So it does have a cost to it, but it's already just along with the package. It's already factored in. Can you swim in the lake at Glacier? So none of our packages include swimming in a lake in Glacier. However, Glacier does have a very, very nice pool at the Glacier Park Lodge. So you can't really swim in the lake, but there is a pool there that you can absolutely swim in. Can you get a rental car up in Glacier? Yes, you can. However, most of the time you don't need it because most of the shuttles and transfers or tours pick up from the lodge, but there is a rental car station right at the door of the right next, or I should say, right next to the Glacier Park station, train station. There is no average cost of a sleeper room. For any exact pricing, I would suggest giving us a call at 1-800-268-7252. As for if there's parking at the station, there's over 500 different stations all throughout the USA and Canada. I wouldn't know the exact parking or cost at each of the stations. We can always check on that for you when you call in. Someone asked the meals that are included within the overnight travel on the train. So when the meals are included with the cabins on the train, is there tips included? No, the tips would have to be paid out of pocket. As for renting a boat like a kayak, I know there are facilities up there in Glacier to do it. You wouldn't be able to rent a kayak or a boat through us. That is something you would have to do separately. Someone asked about whether there is a club or bar car. So there is a cafe car that does serve alcohol in it. As for like a specialized club car, there is not. As for cancellation policy, we do have a trip protection coverage that allows cancellation for any reason at all, even up until the day of. It also does cover medical emergency, trip disruption, etc. All right, folks. So that looks like the last question that I had. So I want to say thank you for joining us. If we got you excited about Glacier, whether it's for 2019 or 2020, please call and get this booked ASAP. Glacier is highly sought after. And again, it's our top selling destination. So thanks for signing on to the presentation today, folks. Have a great day.